All right, hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I have a short one for you today because I have to get into some studying. I'm almost done with my torts reading, then I have contracts and Civ Pro, but I wanted to react to just the beginning of this video. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. On immigration. Because I think that immigration is one of these issues that conservatives are just wrong on. They're just wrong, and then they always have been wrong. Their arguments are trite. They've been stated time and time again, and they've been wrong every single time. And I think that it's one of those issues that honestly, if pushed on, they cannot defend. And we see that here on display pretty well whenever these two liberals who Michael Knowles is debating effectively push back against his ideas to the point where he has to use diversionary and basically made up, not made up statistics, but diversionary statistics. They're statistics that have basis in reality, but are actually not pertinent to the question at hand. And so we'll just get into it, and let's see what they have to say.
We have each brought 3 topics to the table. The audience chooses the topics. We will duke it out. Then our highly sober audience, I can already tell how sober you are, you can go up to the microphones, pick a fight with any of us. If you want to fight me, you go to the blue microphone. If you want to fight my guests, you go to the red microphone. Let's get into it. Sassy ladies first.
Okay, the big beautiful bill is the ugliest piece of legislation written for the American people.
Okay, Adam.
Trump is putting Russia first before America first when it comes to the Ukraine war. He's putting Russia first, yep.
Okay.
Nope, you guys can boo all you want, it's true.
Okay.
Yep.
My topic is the only problem with Trump's deportations is we need more of them.
This feels a little bit skewed.
It seems a little bit, hold on. I
Go
thought
for it.
Nashville was a blue city. I don't know. The whole country's turned red, though. Mr. Davies, who won?
Looks like the people want more deportations.
They want more
They want
deportations.
more deportations.
Okay.
Let's hear it, Michael.
All right. The deportations have been great thus far. We've gotten rid of lots of criminals. We've gotten rid of lots of face-tattooed, Satan-worshipping gangsters. I think it's all really good. We have cut crossings over the border.
Wouldn't that be great if most of the people who were deported were criminals? Unfortunately, they're not. So again, just a misleading statement. Conservatives don't run anymore on statistics or facts or reason or rationality. They truly do run on emotion. And I don't know, I'm a young guy. It's been like this since at least Trump. But I at least do remember elections where this wasn't the way that the right promulgated its ideas. But it seems as though it has realized that the way forward is not rational discourse, but rather just sloganeering. And it's pretty disappointing.
Down to basically nothing. In May, it was literally nothing, not one man apprehended. Historic lows since then. So that's all been great. Self-deportations have been even better. 2.1 million immigrants have deported foreign-born in just the last 7 months. 1.6 million of them illegal. That's 10% probably of the illegal alien average. The only problem is if we want to improve our crime statistics, if we want to improve safety, and if we want to improve drains on our public welfare systems, we need to deport more.
Nope.
No, you say no. Why?
Am I kind of start?
I'll go.
I say ladies first.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
go. Okay, so here's the thing with the deportations is that you look at it through 3 different lenses. The first lens you could look at it through is the money lens, right? The billionaire lens, where they pay $89 billion in taxes while Tesla and Amazon pay 0. So we're going to toss out $89 billion. But we don't know what, you know. And then the second lens you could look at it through is, oh, they're all criminals. But in reality, a study done by the Justice Department in 2021 showed us that American-born citizens are 10 times more likely to be incarcerated for a weapons charge, 5 times more likely for violent crime, 2 times more likely for drug offenses, and 2 times more likely for property crime over documented and undocumented immigrants. And it's because when they come here, they have more to lose than we do. I'd rather have people here that are willing to cross thousands of miles with just the clothes on their back because they really want to be here. And we've seen our GDP has crashed into the negative. All these farm jobs that you guys all say, oh, I'm going to go, they took our job. They're empty. Why is no one taking them? What's going on?
Okay, Adam, do you agree?
And it's not just the DOJ. You can look, I've said before, about someone asked for my source in this in a comment. I didn't get back to them, unfortunately. But I can put it in the description, the source for this. But in Texas, they're the only state that breaks down by illegal, legal status. I said this before. And even there, you see that on the state level, they are not committing crime concomitant with the native population. Legals commit the least amount of crime, then it's illegals, and then it's native-born citizens. And there's a pretty big gap. And so we see this everywhere. We see it at the federal level. We see it at the state level. And you're going to see, interestingly, this is not a point which one can combat. The only arguments that I've ever heard against this are people who say, well, look at the Hispanic crime rate. And you can see that after they've been here for a few generations, then they start committing more crime. But that fails to consider, one, the disparity in age between the various populations, and two, the fact that if you look at any city with a major population of Latinos, it's actually safer than comparable cities. Look at El Paso. Look at even all of the Texas heavily Latino cities have low crime rates for the size of their cities. And so, I mean, it's just a pretty easily falsifiable point. Immigrants just commit less crime. That is a point that if you want to take an anti-immigrant stance, you're going to have to drop, or you're going to have to lie. It's up to you. Lying seems to be doing pretty well, so if you want to just stick with that, that's fine.
I have my own framing that I want to approach this with. Do you want to respond, or can I go?
Sure. So you mentioned that the non-illegals, the citizens, commit far higher crime. That's a little strange, because when you look at the federal docket for just 2024, almost 1/3 of cases on the federal docket are non-citizens.
So look how dishonest that is. The federal docket, do you think that has to do with jurisdictional issues? Number one, certain issues can only be heard at the federal level. Number two, most citizens, when they're tried for various crimes that aren't heard at the federal level, will be taken to non-federal courts. There are venue restrictions. There are jurisdictional restrictions that don't allow for certain cases to be heard in certain places. So the fact that there's a preponderance of them at that level says nothing to their crime rate. Not only that, but again, the question of criminality with regard to immigrants, illegal immigrants, is not, did they cross a border? That is just true per se. It's true intrinsically by the nature of the moniker that we've ascribed to it, obviously. The question is whether they commit violent crimes, whether they come here and do things that actually harm other citizens through criminal actions. Are they trafficking drugs and so on? Are they doing that at higher rates than the native-born population? And that is just not, they don't do it. And to look at like the federal docket as some sort of red herring, it's just nonsensical.
Much, much higher than their share of the population, which is in the single digits. Probably about 5% for illegal aliens alone. Then,
and look at these guys like nodding like they know at all what he's talking about.
If you look at the prison population, BOP, 15% of inmates are non-citizens, much, much higher than their share of the population.
Another misleading statistic. There's an article you can actually read on this. Let me see. I don't know if I have it up on my phone or not. I was reading it. No. I'll probably put that in the description too. But it talks about the fact that most of them are in there, or a large amount of them are in there for immigration-related issues. And so it's just on another level doing that same thing of, well, they are illegals because they came across the border. Yeah, there are a lot of them who are in prison for offenses related to the fact they did illegally enter a country. And so, again, that's just another red herring. We're not getting anything here that addresses crime rates, because we know that every time it's studied, they actually commit less crime. Sometimes it flips between whether illegals or legals commit, like in terms of immigrants, commit more or less crime, because those two kind of vacillate. But it's never the case that natives commit less crime.
Which is 4%. Then if you look at just the costs to the cities, I can go to New York, my old hometown. The New York comptroller showed that they were spending $1.5 billion in 2023 on the illegal aliens who were there.
So saying how much you spent actually doesn't speak to how much you made off of them. This has also been studied at the Texas level, and they found that for every $1 they spent on an illegal immigrant, they got $1.21 back. Now, what I will say is one of the issues associated with swaths of people coming in is not actually the economic issues. It is this sort of thing that happens even with native-born citizens. People tend to congregate in metropolitan areas. That's something that maybe could be addressed because it will strain certain areas. We need to find methods of dispersing everyone so that people aren't so concentrated in certain areas of the country. But that really has nothing to do with immigration. It's actually a completely separate question. And that has been an issue with every single wave of immigrants that have come in, as we will see. the overcrowding.
Number doubled the following year, 2024 to $3 billion. It's over $3 billion this year. So when you say this is a net positive for the economy, they're contributing so much more than the billionaires. When you say they're no good for crime, I don't know. I look at the numbers out of New York. I look at the numbers out of...
Absolutely none of the numbers that you cited spoke to any of those things that you're talking about. They didn't speak to the economic benefit. They didn't speak to criminality. They were complete red herrings. But of course, if you're a conservative and your audience has an average IQ of 87, you can say this stuff and get away with it.
The CBO, I look at the numbers out of the National Academies of Science, and I say they're all contradicting you.
No, your study, I don't ever trust your statistics.
Can I hop in real quick?
Go for it.
Okay.
I wish she knew how to combat that, because that's not a good look. Just saying I don't trust your statistics.
Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach when it comes to this. I want to start off with the fundamental idea. Everybody in here agrees that if somebody is here illegally and they commit crimes, get them the out of here, right?
Yes.
Get them the hell out of here.
Yeah.
If somebody is here, listen.
Yeah, did you just hear
No,
what
not
you
all
said
of them.
Oh my God, now he's going to do the semantic point. They came over illegally. Like, this will never work. Conservatives, that point only works with your side. No one else is like, oh, well, I really didn't think about that. If they did come across illegally, so I guess we got to send them out. No, nobody thinks that.
They're illegal.
No, not all of them.
You said if they're here
Michael,
Not all of them.
Michael, is there a difference between a civil and a criminal violation?
Well,
Wait, is crossing the border illegally a civil or a criminal violation?
It depends on the case, but it can be a civil violation.
It can be a civil violation,
if
so
it's
it's
a
not
repeat
inherently
violation,
illegal. So can I just...
It can be a civil
Okay, so let's
violation.
all start off with the fundamental idea
But
that
it's
if
still
somebody
illegal.
is
It's
here
still illegal,
illegally...
right?
No, it's not. It is a civil violation.
Well,
it is not a criminal...
What does illegal mean?
Criminals.
What does illegal
No, they
refer
just
to? It
called
refers
them
to the law.
criminals. Okay, so let me just get into this. I can start with the fundamental idea that if somebody's here illegally and they commit crimes, they should be sent to another country's prison. And I'm a libtard. By all standards, I'm a libtard, and I believe that. But that is not what the Trump administration is prioritizing. They have reallocated funds meant for the deportation of criminals towards the deportation of farm workers, the deportation of people going to the courthouse. Trump made a Truth Social post. Listen, Trump made a Truth Social post where he said, all the great farmers of Iowa just called me and said, I am deporting too many of their... Did that happen? Did he make that Truth Social post?
Yeah, unfortunately, he stopped
did
deporting
make
them,
that
but
Truth
he should
Social
have
post.
continued deporting them.
So your issue right here is that you always say liberals are taking these 80-20 positions, and you're not quite there, but you're getting closer to the 80-20 position than we are.
Yeah.
70% of Americans want a legal pathway for people who are here contributing to the country, and what Donald Trump is doing, one more point, what Donald Trump is...
That is extremely fair, and I think that he's making a good point. How do you sell that? How far have we gone from sort of the original trajectory of the American experiment to where we are now at the point where we say, if you are literally a person who came over here illegally, you know, you, like she said, trekked across thousands of miles so as to find a better life, and you are only benefiting people around you. You don't commit crime. You're working on a farm, upholding a very important sector for the American economy. How far have we traveled from our original sort of trajectory such that we say, get the hell out? And are we not focusing on the complete wrong things? We have dirty, disgusting cities with homeless people lining the streets. And guess what? When I walk around my city and I see homeless people, it's actually not a bunch of immigrants that I'm seeing. And if anyone else lives in a city, you know that's just not the case either. Usually it is people who are here who probably are suffering from some sort of mental illness. But the point really is that even if we do say, you know, like he said, I agree with that. If you committed a crime, then you should be sent back and you shouldn't be allowed back in. It's a question of contribution. Are you contributing? And if they are contributing, and if they are making things safer, and if they are making things cheaper, and if they are helping us grow and expand as a nation, what is the reason to kick them out? At that point, it really seems that it is just a question of, I don't know, race or something. Like, that's what it has to come down to, I think. And, you know, I wish they would just come out and say it, because then we can have that conversation. But, yeah.
Doing is criminalizing asylum en masse and prioritizing the deportation of farm workers and other people.
Adam, most of the illegals are asylum seekers, or are they economic migrants?
Wait, listen to what you just said.
Yeah.
Most of the illegals are asylum seekers. Asylum seeking is not illegal,
No,
Michael.
it's not.
Is
No,
asylum
that's
seeking
what I'm
illegal?
asking.
That's a pathway.
Oh, sorry then.
The people that we would call illegal aliens, non-citizens in the United States who aren't on a green card, who are not here on a visa, Are most of them
What
asylum
percent of the-
seekers, or are they economic
What
migrants?
percent of the people deported?
You're not going to answer that question because you know the answer.
Wait, no. What percent of the people deported have had criminal violations? It's only 30 to 40%.
Yeah.
So 60% of the people deported have no criminal violations. Guys,
They're not rounding up.
can I
just
test the
criminals.
audience? Can I test you guys? If somebody comes over here and seeks asylum, and what they try to do is build a better life, build a family, and they're working on a farm, do you guys think there should be a path to citizenship to become an American? That is the antithesis of what America stands for. You guys are anti-American then.
Yeah, you are.
You are anti-American.
Can you imagine going to a Nashville bar, talking to great patriots, and saying you're anti-American?
Look at this demagogue. You patriots, you guys are the essence of America. Actually, no, they're not. The essence of America are like the people who drafted the Constitution. And those weren't just like, no offense, but random people. There were people who read Locke. There were people who read Hume. You know, they were people, James Madison requested Jefferson to send him crates of books over, and he read through them all. These people were, it's just, that's just false. One. Two, it is true that is completely anti-American. It's anti-American in the sense that it deviates from the thing that we have always done. It deviates from the propositional project that we set out from the very beginning. And so there's really nothing else to call it. It's a regression into a sort of nationalism with what nation exactly? What is the American nation? If it's not a proposition, in other words, if it's not an idea, if it's not a set of values, if it's not a creed, then what is it? And you're not going to be able to answer that because we have three different people right here in front of us. Michael Knowles does not look like them. Let's just be frank. Michael Knowles' family clearly came in a later immigration wave, probably in the 20th century. But of course, he wants to close the door behind him in typical fashion. The thing which bonds Michael Knowles and the two liberals here is not a race, clearly. It's not a common ethnic origin, clearly. It's a set of ideas. And that's what it's always been.
It's the craziest thing
America
I ever
was
heard.
built off of immigrant.
Yeah.
All right, hold on.
I don't-
Adam, you can
Right
finish your
here.
point. Then we got some questions.
Right here.
Okay.
Okay, to the panel. Americans will work every single job. They just want to be.
Wow, look at his eyebrows. Those are really, really done up. Hold on, let me go back. I don't want to miss this question.
Okay.
Okay, to the panel. Americans will work every single job. They just want to be paid a wage that's worth it and treated well. The only reason, let me talk. The only reason that we have illegal immigration and so much legal immigration is because the corporate lobby wants cheap labor and they can treat their workers like shit.
This guy just look at the way he shook his head. This guy just eats up the propaganda. It's not a question of whether they want to treat their workers like shit and pay them $2 below minimum wage. It's a question of whether the labor exists in the stage that it's readily accessible. And the reality is it just doesn't exist if you're looking at the native population. It's the same issue that Japan faced. It's the same issue that all developing countries face. As the birth rate declines, you get an inverted population pyramid, which means you don't have enough workers. Even we, with our immigrants, are facing various consequences associated with this phenomenon. How are we going to fund Social Security? These problems only get worse when you take away the only growing source of labor that we have, because newsflash, native-born Americans don't have kids. We have an extremely low birth rate, and maybe that's something that we can fix over years. But as I say, when people bring up this point, let's just have kids, we can't wait 18 years for a labor force. Things change quickly, especially in a modern world with AI coming about. These burgeoning technologies like quantum computing and AI, you never know how fast things are going to move. And if you step off of the gas for 1 second, you're going to get passed. One of the things about that's interesting is that I feel like conservatives they really are just like the party of meekness. They're just like weak. They want America to fall back and decline. They say, why do we need to be the world empire? You know, let's just be an isolationist, protectionist country, and I want my apple pie. It's like, then go somewhere else, because that's not what America is. America is the country that sent a man to the moon. America is the country that has always pushed the frontiers, and it's an experiment based around a completely novel idea, based around a constitution unlike any one that the world had ever seen before. And so we just need to dispel with this trash that is being promulgated by the insecure Republican Party. And that's what it is. They're insecure. They're insecure as a consequence of their position in life. And so they blame everyone else. That sort of negative energy just needs to be rooted out.
Hey, hold on. I want to make a correction. The other reason is that Democrats want a permanent electoral majority.
Correct.
That's the other reason.
He just hasn't said a single correct statement tonight, other than when he just reported brute facts, in terms of the number of people that had been deported. Latinos, who are some of the largest population of immigrants, shifted heavily right. Young Latino men voted, I think, in favor of Trump. It was 54% or something in favor of Trump. The women weren't far behind. So the Latinos are shifting right. So that doesn't even work anymore. You're advocating against your own self-interest for whatever reason.
They want an electorate where they do not have to campaign. They don't need good ideas. They will just win every single election because of the people they imported.
That's funny because
okay, no,
Latinos went red.
No,
Latinos went closer to being red this election, so it's kind of funny.
Do you think?
What is wrong? I'm sorry, but I'm just not even going to say anything, but maybe he's nervous. I don't know. He's just behaving very oddly.
That once we deport everyone, that suddenly Congress is going to raise minimum wage?
It's not about the minimum
not.
wage. It's about labor economics.
And also
Wages go up when there are less people to do the job. Wages will go up when there's less people to do the job.
That guy is seriously vying for a VIP table.
It's like these people just memorize these stupid slogans. Well, we have less people, you're going to get paid more. Well, guess what? In the real world, there is a certain number of things that need to get done. And whenever there's a shortage of labor, the labor that we do have will be able to get higher wages, marginally higher wages. But that doesn't mean that the country is going to be better off overall. We're still lacking in labor, hence our attempt to coerce labor through monetary incentives into, working jobs. It's a question of long-term national strategy. We have seen this strategy play out and fail in Japan, and it would fail here. And it's failing in every other country that tries to be isolationist without a growing supply of labor.
Spot a
Wait.
I'm
going to say something. No, I want to say one more thing. Am I going to go? Okay, I want to say one more thing right now. Okay. So this whole mass deportation thing, first off, they're not going to raise minimum wage for you because everyone's
I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking you to do that.
I think what he's saying is because
it's not about the minimum wage.
Right, because there are pressures on the labor market when you flood it with low.
I'm a contractor.
So you should blame the men at the top who are hiring and exploiting them. That's
because
why.
They're available. That's
also,
the market.
This whole mass deportation thing, just so everyone knows, it is all to fuel the racism in this country.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
In reality, the only color that matters in this country is green. Are you green enough? And 99% of us are not. So you're not going to get a pass unless you can pay for it.
Yep.
I don't really like this money focus, the billionaires are, I don't know. I don't think it resonates with that many people, but maybe I'm wrong.
But
money.
But to our earlier point, if that were true, though, Ceci, the illegal aliens are a drain on resources at the state and local level.
They're not.
According to
that is just false. They're not a drain on the resources. You can look at every state that's measured it, and that's not true. You can find, like everything, there are negative externalities. If you look at a map of every single place, there may be some tiny little area that is deleteriously impacted by immigration. But what kind of an idiot would say, hey, look at all this green, but there's a little bit of red there. Let's get rid of this. That's stupid. You redistribute in a manner so as to alleviate the inequities caused by the practice, which is overall beneficial.
According to the CBO, they're the National Budget Office.
Oh, the CBO that you guys don't trust when it's convenient for you?
But also according to the National
Academy of Science. Do you trust the CBO on the big beautiful bill?
Well, I certainly trust it more than Adam Mockler. Do you believe the CBO or no?
Listen, if we enacted the mass deportation that Donald Trump wants, over the next decade, $900 billion would increase the deficit, 3.3% of our GDP would be hopped off. Okay, wait.
Who pays for their health care?
Wait, can I ask you a question? Would you be okay with people being here, immigrating here?
Probably not, no.
Listen.
Probably not.
Can I ask you what?
So you're just un-American.
Wait, I just want to ask.
So you're just un-American.
I wasn't born here. I wasn't even born here. No,
you weren't born here?
No.
That is hilarious. And that is kind of where I want to end it. We'll let this play out and then I'll speak.
And you don't want people to immigrate here.
Because we have more than enough.
Yeah, we got more than
Close the door behind you, huh? So dumb.
More than enough.
You know what? You
Are
should
you
get out
gay
of
and you
my
hate
country.
gay people too?
It's my country
You weren't
too.
born here.
That doesn't matter.
Why is it your country? You have no roots here. You just got here. Why don't you get out? You know what? I agree with them, actually. Let's kick all these immigrants out, starting with him. Maybe then we can get back to our roots and then let the immigrants in. But this time we'll filter by ideology.
All right? That's the
Wait,
mindset.
guys.
No, it's not. I want to do what's
I don't
best
see
for
any
That's the
Americans here
contradiction
today
mindset,
now.
and you're not from here.
That's okay.
You're a hypocrite. You're a
Okay.
hypocrite.
I don't think it's hypocritical.
Look at how okay. The conservative is an extremely laughable creature in the modern world. How far their side has fallen. I want to end this just by I went ahead and grabbed my little I got a civics textbook that used to be given to high school students in let's see what year this was. It's probably like 1910 or something. Yeah, and a perspective on immigration that is almost like the consolidation of the various viewpoints that we hear today. You have both the skepticism and the ultimate resolution, and it just goes to show that these sort of themes, these immigration themes, have been played out over and over and over again. I've read an argument before from, I believe it was the 19th century, where they were talking about German and Irish immigration and saying how it's deleterious and it's not like the immigration that came before. Well, now this is a quote regarding the immigrants who are coming in, Michael Knowles and his family, the Italians in the early 20th century. So this is from section 109, Incomers from Abroad. It says, the motives that prompt foreigners to come to this country are sometimes different from those which cause migration within the country, and sometimes very similar. Many foreigners come here for employment. They know that higher wages are paid here than in their native country, and they want to lay up wealth. Others have heard that America is a land of opportunity, of advancement, and of democracy, and so they come. Some foreigners have relatives who have come to this country and send back such glowing accounts of wealth and equality that they immediately want to leave the home country and come here. They gaze almost with reverence at the torch of the Statue of Liberty when they come into the great harbor, but somehow it does not always seem to shine so brightly after they have been here for a while. America is not heaven. The effects of immigration are not altogether desirable. Foreigners often live in overcrowded sections of the cities, where all sorts of disease and crime exist and spread. Keep in mind, we're talking about Italians here. As we have already noticed, and Irish, as we have already noticed, a great many of them never become Americanized in thought and customs, although they may become citizens in name. Knowles, do you hear that? Your ancestors never became Americanized in custom. They were nominal citizens. But the foreigners do manual labor, which most Americans do not want to do, and in this way they have an important part in this country's industry. Our immigration laws are more strict than they used to be. Foreigners are now required to be able to read in some language before they may come into this country. Every immigrant must pay a head tax of $8, and no one is admitted who seems to the officials, quote, likely to become a public charge. Anarchists and people with dangerous diseases are also excluded. We must, and then here's the last part, we must find some way to distribute the immigrants after they arrive, else they will go to those parts of our cities which are already overcrowded, which is what I talked about. We could find means to distribute these people and increase the burden on their community. People from other countries will probably keep on coming here, and we usually find some work for them to do. If we are tempted to think harshly of them or to look down upon them, it might be well for us to remember that unless our ancestors were Indians, they were immigrants themselves at one time. So I think it's a beautiful encapsulation of many of the arguments you hear regarding immigration. And it goes to show, one, the arguments that are there that resonate with people like Michael Knowles turned out to be not true. The Italians did become Americanized. The Irish did become Americanized. Michael Knowles is, for all intents and purposes, an American. Even though the Americans themselves didn't think that that would be the case. Not only that, but we had these Irish and Italian ghettos that formed, that eventually dispersed as the immigrants themselves went across the country. And ultimately, we were bettered and benefited by their presence. The same thing will happen now. The same thing happened last time. It happened in the waves of the 19th century, and it happened in the original waves of the 17th and 16th centuries. Immigration is a uniquely American phenomenon in the sense that it works very well here because we have always set out, and we have always been a nation of immigrants. So this is one of those issues that if you're a conservative, you really need to ask yourself why it is that you are opposed to this. And I think that if you lay it out, the reasons are just not as compelling as you think. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, check out all that stuff.